Yield Kills All Super Concentrate. You know, High Yield Kills All works great on any kind of unwanted weed and grass around your house. High Yield Kills All is a non-selective weed and grass killer that contains a double surfactant formula that dries on the weed fast. It starts working quickly, which helps it to work better than other weed and grass killers. High Yield Kills All is perfect for use around your fences, patios, sidewalks, driveways, and a whole lot more. Use High Yield Kills All to kill weeds before you plant a vegetable garden, before you plant your flowers, or before you plant that new lawn. Check out the label. It covers up to twice the area that the national brand covers and works even better. Kill your weeds down to the root with Kills All. And if you can't find Kills All at that mass merchant, you want to know why? That's because Kills All from High Yield can only be found at your favorite local independent garden centers or hardware stores. That's High Yield Kills All. Get some today.
Get ready for a wild night at Rendezvous. The Columbus Zoo and Aquarium invites you to an unforgettable evening this Saturday, filled with delicious food, refreshing drinks, and incredible entertainment, all in support of vital conservation efforts. Join us in making a difference for wildlife. Get your tickets now at columbuszoo.org.
Have you ever wanted your tropical vacation to last longer? Of course you have. And now it can, thanks to Oakland Nursery. Bring that tropical paradise to your backyard. Create an island retreat complete with tropical hibiscus, palm trees, mandevilla, gardenias, citrus and banana plants, flowering cannas, and more. The lush exotic greens and vibrant tropical colors that make life more fun, now in your own backyard thanks to Oakland. If you haven't been to Oakland Nursery, you simply haven't been to a nursery.
Celebrate Weber Days this Saturday from 11 to 2 at Zettler Hardware in Powell. It's Mike Elliott. Enjoy Weber grill demos, samples hot off the grill, 20% off grill accessories with any grill purchase, plus a Scotch rep will be there answering your lawn and garden questions. Zettler Hardware in Powell. Don't miss it.
Portions of the following program were pre-recorded.
Your station for news, traffic, and weather in Central Ohio. News Radio 610 WTVN Columbus, WODC HD2 Asheville, an iHeartRadio station.
ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen. A deadly night of severe storms in the Midwest and South. Nearly 3 dozen are dead across Missouri, Kentucky, and Virginia. ABC's Alex Stone is in Clear Creek, Indiana.
Parts of Kentucky shredded. At least 9 dead in Laurel County. Home after home reduced to rubble. First responders searching for survivors. The governor declaring a state of emergency. In Missouri, at least 7 deaths across the state.
Search and rescue operations still ongoing in St. Louis, where 5 deaths occurred. The mayor of St. Louis estimates some 5,000 buildings were impacted. And another string of storms on the way for millions. ABC's meteorologist Samara Theodore has more.
This is going to be a multi-day event, not just today, but through Sunday into Monday, even into Tuesday for some areas. Right now, we are actually seeing active storms on the ground from the system moving through parts of the south, making their way through the Carolinas.
President Trump back from his Middle East trip and in a social media post today says he plans to speak with Russia's President Vladimir Putin on Monday. It comes after direct talks between Ukraine and Russian delegations Friday ended with no progress on a peace deal. Within hours of talks breaking down, Russia carrying out fresh drone strikes. ABC's Lama Hassan has the latest.
The Ukrainian military says a Russian drone strike hit a civilian bus in the Sumy region near the northeastern border. The bus packed with passengers. The Russian defense minister saying they were targeting a military equipment staging area.
In Louisiana, the manhunt for 7 remaining escapees continues. 10 prisoners Friday escaped from a New Orleans jail. There 3 were captured. ABC's Maria Villarreal says authorities consider them armed and dangerous.
The sheriff is adamant this group had help inside and outside the jail, and they're going to keep digging to find out how this all happened. We do know so far 3 of the jail employees have been suspended.
You're listening to ABC News.
A Columbus man is in custody in connection with a deadly shooting that happened last Christmas Day.
Authorities say 34-year-old Aaron Carson has been apprehended and charged with aggravated murder. Investigators believe Carson opened fire on 30-year-old Demetrius Mitchell after the two had been arguing at Mitchell's apartment on East Weber Road. Carson is being held on $1 million bond.
For an hour, I was there Thursday. Looked everywhere for Ella.
The 23rd. I'm Rob Bailey.
Olympic champion and former OSU wrestler Kyle Snyder is getting a break following his arrest in a prostitution sting.
Oh, you know what?
Snyder's lawyer says he plans to plead guilty to a lesser disorderly conduct charge on Monday. More than a dozen other men were charged earlier this month after they allegedly responded to internet ads for escorts posted by detectives and then met with undercover officers in a North Columbus hotel room. A convicted killer from Southern Ohio was executed this week.
Called the Casanova Killer or the Cross Country Killer, Glenn Rogers was convicted of several murders of single mothers across multiple states. He was sentenced to death for the 1995 death of Tina Marie Cribbs, as well as strangling Sandra Gallagher to death in California. Rogers was also accused of killing Mark Peters back in October 1993 in Hamilton, Ohio. He was arrested in Waco, Kentucky after a police chase.
How many people have you killed, Mr. Rogers?
All right, it's just Pawpaw Night today.
Former
and
WCPO 9 News photographer Chick Poppy at the arrest site. Before dying from the lethal injections, Rogers' last words were, "President Trump, keep making America great. I'm ready to go." He was pronounced dead around 6:16 Thursday evening. I'm Lee Mowen.
The suspect in a recent deadly stabbing in Akron is now in custody. 56-year-old Rosu Pierce was arrested this week after allegedly shooting 52-year-old Narlin Portis last weekend near the Sand Run Metro Park.
Dude, is that a scam?
Your latest news, traffic, and weather.
If you're not informed, then you're out of the loop.
All you have to do is ask.
Play 610 WTVN on iHeartRadio.
This report is sponsored by Lowe's. Now more than ever, Lowe's knows you want the lowest price. With their lowest price guarantee, if you find a qualifying lower price on the same item, they'll match it. Price match applies to the same item, current price at qualifying retailers, exclusions and terms apply. Learn how they'll match price at Lowe's.com/lowest price guarantee.
Get Mega May discounts at Coghlan Kia. Lease a new Kia K4, only $89 a month for 24 months. Or get 1.9% financing for 48 months. Or $2,000 bonus cash on a new 25 Kia Sportage or Sorrento. Visit CoglanKia.com.
Coghlan has the car for you.
$49.99 due at signing. 10,000 miles per year. 20 cents per mile over. Tax, title, and license fees excluded. No security deposit. $400 disposition fee at lease end. 1.9 for 48 equals $21.65 for 1,000 finance. With approved credit through KMF. Residency restrictions may apply. Offers cannot be combined. See dealer for details. N6225.
Next hour on Winning Retirement Radio.
You know, one of the things that inspired me as a young person when I learned about Abraham Lincoln was the fact that he failed so many times before he became senator from Illinois and before ultimately becoming the president of the United States. We find that to be a common theme amongst the business owners that we meet. When things failed, they persevered. They didn't quit. They just kept pushing through.
Find out more after the news at the top of the hour on News Radio 610 WTVN and at LegacyRetirementGroup.com.
Oftentimes on the show, we have guests like Hickok 45, state political leaders, influential people. We've really been blessed to have a wide variety of guests over the years. Today on the show, it's just Pawpaw and I. Can't say I didn't warn you. OnTarget is next.
Live from LAPD Firearms Range and Training Facility, this is OnTarget, the latest from the firearms industry, the products and politics that affect your hobby and liberty. This program may not be politically correct, but it is OnTarget. Now, your host, Eric Delbert.
Good afternoon. Welcome to OnTarget. We're broadcasting live from the studios of LAPD Firearms Range and Training Facility, located at 999-999 Bethel Road. I'm your host, Eric, along with my father, Phil.
I warned Ella that I was going to be on the show. I said, get your mute button ready.
Oh, geez. You've had all this pent up?
Oh, it's been pent up.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, I do have a gripe. I mean, while I appreciate you being on the show and filling in since nobody else showed up today.
You're scraping the bottom of the barrel, Eric.
Well,
go ahead.
I'm just saying there is a cost to this.
Oh, yeah.
And so I guess today you're out there and you're going to talk about listeners wanting to donate a Model 10 to you or something. So, I mean, you needed a platform to get this out. So
yes.
I'm glad we could provide that today.
Good.
Yes. So does this mean you're out of retirement?
No.
No, okay.
That means I've come out of retirement just to help you out today.
Okay.
All right.
All right, as long as we know the ground rules.
Oh, yeah.
Guys, we are the owners of LAPD Firearms Range and Training Facility and are active in law enforcement. But for 1 hour on Saturdays, we put together a group of firearm experts to discuss new products in the market, training tips, and oftentimes political topics surrounding the Second Amendment. Our commitment, though, has always been to bring you the facts about our industry and help listeners and customers with safe, responsible ownership of firearms. Today on the show, you're going to get a little bit of everything. That we're just kind of cleaning up some past topics we didn't spend enough time on, have some new topics. We had just a lot of little things going on. So we might even open up the phone lines later, Pawpaw. When's the last time we did that?
That's scary.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
But we'll see. We want to thank everyone, first of all, though, for contributing to our buddy Spencer, the CPD officer, to his raffle. It was a really good success. We drew the name last week, and him and his family were so appreciative of it. So thank you, everyone, for help donate that and helping support Spencer going forward. Up shortly, we're going to talk to a good friend and happens to be the chief of Franklin County Sheriff's. Chief Gilbert's going to be talking about Operation Unity that I got to be a part of this week. We do it every year. Really a neat event, and I don't think it gets, we talk about it and they do their press release, but I don't think it gets enough press on how impactful it is. So he's going to be calling in shortly and talking about that. And what else we have, Pawpaw? Oh, did you see my segment this week on Channel 6?
Yes, I did. Yeah. It's scary what's out there. And, I was telling other people, you got these kids, they walk around with these guns that look real. They absolutely look real. And if they ever get in an encounter with law enforcement, and God forbid, the officer has to do what he has to do, I just know that the local media or
the
social media,
yeah,
they'll say that the kid was unarmed because it wasn't
100%.
Because it wasn't a real firearm.
100%. And we're talking about a story we did this week with our friends over at Channel 6 about guns, or BB guns, actually, that look real. So we'll get into that a little bit later, but it's definitely worth a listen. And if you have these in your house, if you have kids that have them and stuff, you need to pay attention to making sure those don't leave the property and aren't used in a way that's going to harm the kids and stuff. So we'll talk about that in a little bit. There is no JC here today, so we don't have a long list of news, but we got some news, Papa. We have news.
And there's no way that I can fill in for him.
Oh, I know.
Oh, you cannot fill his shoes.
Cannot.
No way.
Cannot fill his shoes. We're going to get to a couple Guns of the Week, sponsored by our good friends over at U.S. Law Shield. They were actually in today. Spoke to those guys. Good people over there. We might talk a little holsters for summertime carry. We got a little discussion on that later on. Stolen guns. You know what, Pawpaw? I am tired of talking about stolen guns and locking the guns up in your vehicle. It makes me mad. So many good gun owners are getting their guns stolen from their vehicle. I don't know what more we have to do to get it across to people to not leave guns unsecured in the cars. It's starting to infuriate me as much as we talk about it and how much it happens. And I had a friend this week who had one stolen out of his car, and even after all the stuff we've talked about, it's frustrating, to say the least. So we'll talk about that a little bit later. And what else? I think that's about it, Papa. We got a bunch of little stories and stuff to get to. We'd like to thank our sponsors, though. U.S. Law Shield, a great company, true partners with us. If you carry a firearm for self-defense, or even if you have one at home, U.S. Law Shield is something you should consider because they are there to protect you if you have to use that firearm. Not even just the firearm, but if you have to defend yourself, they are there. I have some friends who have actually had to use them, so that's a good thing to have, and it's inexpensive. Jackson Egress Windows, they've been a sponsor of us since the beginning. If you ever wanted to turn that basement into a living space, they can actually make an egress and be able to go in and out from the basement. Kind of a neat thing. Give those guys a call. Black Ring Shooting Center, our friends up north, been doing a lot with them lately. They've had a ton of events. They had that big event this week. I think it was called the Matt Light event, if I remember correctly. So definitely would support those guys, especially now that it's summertime, getting outside and doing sports, clay pigeons and sporting clays and all that stuff.
If you can do it between the rain.
Well, that is a valid point.
Yeah.
River's Edge Cutlery, actually talked to Mike over there, one of the owners, this morning. Those guys are doing really good. Have you been there yet to their new place?
No, but I have to go there because my knife that I carry, which is probably 15 years old now, is so dull that it won't even poke a hole in a piece of paper.
How about kitchen knives? Aren't your kitchen knives dull too?
They're getting there, yeah.
Yeah, these guys are great. It's not just your typical pocket knives. It is it's a wonderful facility.
They'll also do your hedge trimmers.
Yeah, it's really a neat place if you're in the market for anything. And actually, even if you're not in the market, just stopping by there, they get me every time. Every time I walk in there was something that I'm like, wow, I kind of need that.
Do they force you to buy something, Eric?
No, I ended up just doing it. The last time was that my carry bag that I carry every day. I mean, they have a great supply of that too. So definitely check them out. They're in Hilliard. They're in the old Bobby Ray Hall building, real close to Scioto Valley, if you know where that's at. They're, I think, right next door or 2 doors down from that. And of course, LEPD training facility also helping to sponsor the show each week. Let's see, Pawpaw, what else do we have? So let me tell you who's not here today. JC is not here. He's apparently playing grandpa again with his new grandchild and stuff, doing some babysitting today. Ed is serving the second day of his suspension, so we anticipate him being back next week. He's actually up in Cleveland for the police memorial with his son, which is kind of neat. He gets to go with Eddie to all the festivities up in Cleveland for the Police Memorial Week, so that's kind of neat. But I do have Pawpaw right here beside me.
That's a bonus, Eric.
That is a bonus.
Yeah.
Yep. So, what else we got going? If you missed this show...
No, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, if you missed the show, you can always catch the podcast, 610WTVN.com. It's on iHeartRadio. It is on, any place the podcasts are out there, we are out there. I like to also point people towards Facebook and YouTube. We simulcast the shows live, but I will have to say they are not very friendly. And I anticipate today, as we go through the gun of the week, as soon as we touch this gun on our counter, they're probably going to kick us off as they usually do. So one of these days we will figure something out there to keep that feed going. But right now they're just not friendly, let's just say it that way. But our past shows are out there as well. The one with Hickok 45 was really good. Definitely wanted to check out. So, Pawpaw, what do we have around? There are so many things.
I want to talk about the Law Enforcement Officer Safety Act.
Oh, LEOSA. Yeah.
Most people do not know what that is or that it even exists. But the acronym is LEOSA, which is Law Enforcement Officer Safety Act. This was passed in July 2004, and it was signed by President Bush. And this, even though 9/11 happened in 2001, it takes that long to get something through Congress. But 3 years later, they passed this law that retired police officers are permitted to carry a concealed weapon as long as you go through the requirements of training and things like that. And the whole purpose of that was because of 9/11, President Bush wanted to get more officers, more trained and experienced people on the street with carrying firearms. And that happened. It's been going on now since 2004. And we qualify those officers every month here at LEPD, and we'll get a group of. You have to qualify once a year in order to be able to do this, and so we have a database of about 500 retired police officers, and it's just not police officers. It's Secret Service, it's the FBI, Homeland Security. Anybody that lives in Ohio is eligible as long as they meet the requirements. And so we put them through qualifications every month. And we usually get a group of about 20 to 30 retired officers, and we have it every month. And so this is a good thing. But they just recently amended the law to allow police officers to carry concealed on private property that's open to the public, and in school zones, that's a biggie, and in federal parks and facilities. So, and this is a federal law, so it's good in all the states. So I think that is that's a really good thing. And some of these officers, they still want to serve. They still want to be able to help out if something would occur.
And this what this also did was allow those retired officers who've gone through training. I mean, these are still individuals out there that can act as a force multiplier in the time of need, and it allows them to carry across state lines. So that really any state you go to, since it is at the federal level, and now with this latest provision that I don't know if it's passed completely yet, but it's close.
It has passed the House.
Okay,
has to go to the Senate,
and it
looks like it
should go. But it's important. I mean, it's important to allow the retired officers to do that. One of the things I know we've run into is that even with going to different states, there's different states have different laws about magazine capacity, and sometimes how that affects you going to those states can impact what you're carrying.
Yeah.
So,
but I have to say kudos to New York. The one time that you and I with our family went to New York after 9/11, and of course we were both carrying firearms, and New York is really noted for their strict enforcement of that, even for law enforcement officers. But places that we've went to there in New York, they actually treated us like royalty.
Yeah,
they did. We went to the Statue of Liberty, and long line to get through a magnetometer, metal detector, whatever. And Eric and I, we went up ahead like we normally do, and we identified ourselves as police officers, and that we were carrying firearms. And they put us and our wives up ahead of the line, went on through. We were able to carry our firearms. I think they put a wristband on us.
And a lot of places do that now.
And, and then there was also, we got into the actual site of 9/11. They had it all fenced off then. And we identified ourselves, and they got us right in, gave us a little bit of a tour. So they really treated us pretty good.
They did, and I think most agencies do that. Pawpaw, let's go to a break, because on the other side we have Chief Gilbert on the line. We're going to talk about Operation Unity that happened this week in Franklin County. We're on Target, broadcasting live from the studios of LAPD Firearms Range. We'll be back right after the break.
You never know.
All right, I did my part. I filled in. I'm out of here.
Got half as much as John would have said.
Not even a quarter of what John. In fact, John will still be talking.
If he leaves now, no more donuts.
Right, cutting off the donut train.
Yeah. Well, you don't want to give me that sugar high right before the show. Yeah.
It's like when they introduced you to the cappuccinos over there at the new coffee shop. Oh, I like the cappuccinos. Oh, I need another one of the cappuccinos. How about the cappuccinos?
I'll tell you, you had to try their. I call them donuts, but I think they call them mochi. Really, really tasty, really good.
Why does Mr. Bachman have a black eye back there in the back row?
30 seconds.
Oh, all right.
Someone said you got into a street fight.
Yeah.
10 seconds.
Copy. Your VC6 first warning weather for today. Sun and clouds, cool and breezy. It is beautiful out there, high of 73. Tonight, partly cloudy skies, low of 55. For Sunday, sun and clouds, high of 73. Another beautiful day. Currently 72 degrees on your severe weather station. News Radio 610 WTVN.
News, traffic, weather, sports. Columbus's News Radio 610 WTVN.
Pawpaw, how appropriate is that Ella plays Bad Company today when it's just you and I? You know what? I'm taking her off the music choosing list.
Well, you know, I used to choose.
Yes.
Well, I used to pick one of them.
I know.
I used to. I know. I was a regular.
That's right. Welcome back to On Target. I'm your host, Eric, joined today just with Pawpaw. It's Pawpaw and I, but we have a good friend of mine on the line right now. We have Chief Gilbert from Franklin County Sheriff. How are you doing, Chief?
I'm doing good, guys. How are you guys today?
We are great. Just having fun up here and talking and stuff. How are you doing out there?
Doing good. We had a detail this morning for Race for the Cure. All the spectators and racers and everybody were all safe. Being a part of the public safety team, the sheriff's office, and some of our deputies assistant CPD and our partnering agencies with ensuring for their safety down there. So now that that's over, enjoying this nice breezy day.
Great. Oh, hey, by all accounts, another successful Operation Unity this week.
Yeah, anytime we can get together with our partnering agencies, Sheriff Baldwin has made it very one of his promises to commit to public safety in Franklin County is to work closely with our suburban agencies, specifically those that we work side by side with, and then targeting and hearing concerns from the community in regards to uptick in crime and those type of details are very important. It's something that we started through the Central Ohio Chiefs of Police Association a couple years ago, and we're going to continue to keep doing them. We find them to be very successful. As you know, Eric, from working these, I mean, the comments from people seeing us out there, they're ecstatic to see visual deterrence of cruisers and stops being made and looking to fight and combat crime is very important here, and it's a priority for the sheriff.
And it is a busy 12 hours. I mean, I think right out of the chute, we were maybe 20, 30 minutes outside a roll call and already had a cruiser and a chase.
Yeah, so we had a short pursuit with an individual indicative of stolen vehicles and being involved in illegal activity. Plates didn't belong to the vehicle in front of the deputies. They attempted a traffic stop, and unfortunately, poor choice by that individual. I mean, and obviously they didn't know it at the time, but once they apprehend him and realize he's a hardened criminal, he's been in and out of prison. The vehicle wasn't his. It was, investigated as a potential stolen vehicle because the plates were on the vehicle. He chose not to stop. We were able to successfully perform a pit maneuver, and at that point, it became a foot chase with him. And very unfortunate. Criminals, when they act, they don't think of their consequences. They don't think about, and they don't really care for anybody else's regard. Unfortunately, his dog that was with him got out to run with him and attacked one of our deputies, and it was very unfortunate. It wasn't the dog's fault, but we have to protect ourselves. We have to protect our partners. We have to protect the community. Unfortunately, pepper spray did not work in trying to stop the dog from attacking the deputy to the point the deputy got bit in the cheek, and his partner had to discharge his firearm to protect himself and the public from this vicious animal that was attacking deputies.
Wow, and how's the officer doing today? The deputy?
He's doing good. It could have been a lot worse. I mean, he could have been bitten in the eye. Could have lost his nose. Luckily, it was around the cheek area and wasn't serious. And got a tetanus shot, and obviously follow up with the medics and then at the ER afterwards. But he's doing fine. He's back to work.
That's good. I talked to Chief Jones from Clinton Township afterwards too, and you're in this obviously a lot more, but oftentimes you look at some of these communities that have crime problems and stuff, and I know I'm guilty of this. You kind of look at that community, and for a second you kind of think, oh geez, it's kind of a forgotten community. It's crime ridden, but there's so many good people in those communities, and the feedback from those good people seeing us out there, it gives you hope that those communities can turn around. And I think that was one of the most fulfilling things we saw that day.
100%. Part of us being out there and being visual is to also have interaction and positive contact with the public. And that's one reason why we keep those stats as well. And, the comments on social media the next day. In fact, Chief Jones advised me the trustees were very happy. They saw the North Linden Facebook pages were, hey, we need to see more of this. Thank you for what you're doing. And the trustees were very excited about it, and they want to know when we're going to continue to keep doing them. So now that our staffing's gotten better, it's been a little bit of a struggle, but our hiring is going really well at the Sheriff's Office, and we've made it a priority in 2025, and the Sheriff has made it a priority for us to try to continue these operations, dedicating directed, targeted enforcement, utilizing our data that's driven by calls to service, complaints we see on social media, and try to target certain areas of Franklin County so that we can work with our partnering agencies and network and go out there and make a difference. And, one of the things I always see, and the stats prove it, is, we did not have a shooting, a stabbing, a serious call to service in that area, because I think it speaks volumes to the deterrence when we're in those areas and those volumes of stops are being made, the crime does go down, and it makes a big difference. And I think that's what every citizen wants. They want to see their community safe, and they want to see people being held accountable for when they're out conducting criminal activity and preying on the citizens and their neighbors.
Yeah, and just I mean, some of the stats I have here in front of me, there was 139 traffic stops made that day, 60 citations, 68 warnings. So that goes, Chief, to what you were saying. It wasn't just about, let's see if we can write a ticket. It was about positive interaction with some of the community out there. 9 felony arrests, 12 misdemeanor arrests, and that includes warrants, which we were a part of. 18 people cited for no operator's license. They're out there driving around without a driver's license. 3 illegal guns seized and 3 stolen vehicles. We were fortunate to be a part of one of those. And one of my takeaways, and again, I'm kind of just being part-time and stuff. I don't see it every day. But one of the things for me that was so gratifying and so neat to see is when we were out there on our stolen vehicle, our backup guys was Chief Gilbert and the Chief of Clinton Township. I mean, hats off to you guys, Chief, that the leaders that are out there with the guys. I mean, it was not uncommon to hear the chiefs pulling people over, and that is such a morale boost for the guys on the front line, and really hats off to you for that.
Well, I appreciate that. I take it very serious to lead from the front, something I've always done. I happen to be a cop who happens to be of rank, and I'm out there with him. I wasn't feeling that well that day, as you heard from my laryngitis or loss of voice there for the day. But I appreciate that, and kudos to you. You picked up that stolen vehicle, was running out of a robbery, and we had to get to the bottom and find out what was going on with it and everything. But when I want to speak a little bit about the illegal guns. So. We post these stats and we hear people going, well, we're a carry state. I want to be very clear. These are weapons that are in possession of felons and those that are prohibited from being in and around firearms. And we continue to take, when we say we take illegal guns off the street, it's individuals who have lost their right under their Second Amendment because of crimes that they've committed. And they're prohibited. So, those are 3 guns that will not be used in future crimes. Because, as you know, a good guy with a gun has no issues with abiding by the law, and a bad guy with a gun could care less. And, anytime we can get weapons out of the hands of those that are under disability and prohibited, that's important because we definitely want to protect everybody's Second Amendment right. But we see comments every now and then on our Facebook about the weapon stuff. And the other point I want to make is, although marijuana is legal in the state of Ohio, that doesn't give you a right to drive around with it in your car and smoking it while you're driving. And we see those comments, too, about, why are we messing with this marijuana? It's legal now. Yes, it is legal in the state of Ohio, but there are very defined manners in which you are to transport and or purchase the marijuana. So it is still highly illegal in Ohio to possess marijuana. As long as you're not, you got to be following the new law.
And especially being in possession of a firearm while consuming marijuana is still federally prohibited. So
absolutely,
yeah.
Absolutely.
So it's a good thing to know. Well, Chief, thank you so much for giving everyone the opportunity to do a little policing. I think it helps the morale of the guys too. After coming off the last 4 or 5 years, where law enforcement took a little bit of a hit, and so it's good to see the guys out there and enforcing the laws that we all got into this to do. And thanks again for the opportunity.
You are very welcome, and any listeners out there, please stop and thank a law enforcement officer when you see him. It is the hardest job in America right now, and it continues to be. And these men and women go out every day putting a uniform on, kissing their loved ones goodbye, not knowing if they're going to return home or not. For citizens they're ready to go serve and lay their life down for that they don't really even know. So kudos to the men and women that do the job every day, because they're the ones that are out there on the front lines. And thank you guys for what you do to highlight that.
Absolutely. Chief Gilbert, thanks for calling in. We'll catch up to you here soon. Be safe out there.
All right, thank you, guys.
Yep. Guys, let's jump to the news. We'll be back outside on the other side of that with some more stories. We're on Target, broadcasting live from the studios of LEPD Farms Range. We'll be back right after the news. Get ready for... That was good. it was all out of that simple traffic stop. I mean, that's what it's about. I mean, now, if it had been simply, hey, look, I own a car dealership and I do these tags on, good, have a great day. But that's what the policing is. I mean, it's not about harassing the public. It's about looking for those signs, getting the probable cause to stop. Sometimes it amounts to something, sometimes it doesn't.
You used to do that. That was your philosophy for stopping cars with tinted windows.
Yeah.
Perfectly legal stop. And 9 times out of, well, maybe not 9 times out of 10, but there was always something else that was involved, so it always turned into something else.
But it was good. I mean, we had a blast. I think we wrote 8 or 9 tickets. We
10 seconds.
I copy. Now you're out there with these guys, and you're partnering with them and rolling up on scenes with them. It's neat.
From LAPD Firearms Range and Training Facility, this is OnTarget, the latest from the firearms industry, the products and politics that affect your hobby and liberty. This program may not be politically correct, but it is OnTarget. Now, your host, Eric Gilbert.
Welcome back to OnTarget. I'm your host, Eric, joined today with my father, Pawpaw Phil. Right there he is.
Yay,
the crowd goes crazy.
Yeah, we didn't have to use our sign either.
No.
Did you read about or hear about that prison break in New Orleans?
No.
Oh, you haven't?
No, is this a real prison break?
Yeah. 10 prisoners. Some of them were in prison for murder.
Really?
Yeah. And I think one person had like four cases against him for murder.
Really?
And 10 of them at one time got through this opening in a cell behind the toilet.
Oh, yes.
But, I looked at the picture. It looks like it's just drywall there around the walls. It looked like they have bars on the other side, but I suppose you could squeeze through them. But to do 10?
Did they get away? Did they escape?
Well, yeah, they did. And I think they've caught three so far. And so there's still 7 of them out there.
No, I didn't hear that.
Yeah.
Speaking of just some 1 or 2 liners on the news, Pawpaw, did you see, unfortunately, the Ohio Gun Collectors Association had that negligent discharge that happened during one of the events. And unfortunate, because this has been an organization that's been, I think it's been 75 years now that OGCA has been out there. And it's really a show that everyone looks up to, members only. Well, since that happened, they no longer are able to do the show at the...
Yeah, they were kicked out.
Yeah, the Roberts Center, yeah. And so they found a new place now. And it's off of 75 between Cincy and Dayton, called the Spooky Nook, which I never heard of, but apparently it's even bigger than the Roberts Center, and it's supposedly a fantastic facility, and they're super excited. They're going to start those shows in November.
Yep.
So kind of neat.
And of course, they have some real strict rules now. Which
they should. But it's always been pretty strict.
It's always been strict, but... Yeah, the accidental discharge was, a 308 round.
308.
Man, people were lucky there.
Yeah, they were. They were very lucky. Some other news out there. I know I'm not going to do this nearly the justice that JC does it, but a couple things going on. We talk about suppressors a lot. There is the Hearing Protection Act, which talk about things that are frustrating. It should go through. There is no reason that you shouldn't be able to buy a suppressor just like you do a firearm. Fill out the background check and be done with it. Today, it's set up through the NFA branch, meaning that you have to submit fingerprints and do all this stuff and pay a $200 tax stamp. It's crazy for what it is. So everyone, I don't know why anyone wouldn't be on board with just setting it up like a normal firearm where you have to go do a background check. Well, they're making some progress. The House committee proposed something this week that would eliminate the tax part of it, which, is half the issue, but it still would be an NFA item. So I don't know if that's maybe that's just a stepping stone to get it the full way, but nonetheless, it's still being talked out there, which isn't a bad thing. 2 cases this week. The Supreme Court kind of kicked back down to the lower courts, and these are interesting. And Pawpaw, you and I were talking about this before. One was the Supreme Court said that in domestic violence cases, that people who have been convicted of domestic violence still are not able to own or possess a firearm. And I don't know. I have mixed emotions about that. I mean, this has been on for. I kind of remember when this went into place because I was in law enforcement. And it's probably been 20 years now and stuff. I don't know. I mean, domestic violence typically is a misdemeanor.
It's a misdemeanor, yeah.
And I don't know. I know what the intent is here. I mean, obviously, if somebody is in that situation, if you can do something to prevent them from owning a firearm, is probably not a bad thing. But you see so many cases where a DV occurs, and it doesn't rise to the level of violence per se. So I don't know. I have mixed emotions about that.
Yeah, I mean, even if you shove somebody, that could be domestic violence.
Yeah, a child. I mean, somebody else within your household and stuff. I don't know. It's just the one thing that I guess is positive with this and the next story is that I think federally now they're putting some parameters in place where if you have been convicted of domestic violence or a felon, you can. There is a means now where you can go and get your gun rights back. I don't believe on the federal level that has been in place for years and years and years, and I think that's coming back. So maybe that's the answer to this. The other one, the other case was the Supreme Court kicked back down and agreed with the lower courts in that non-violent felons will also continue to not be allowed to own or possess a firearm. So that I don't know. I mean that's probably not a bad thing, but you look at it, and if you step back and look at it, the right to keep and bear arms, there's probably an argument that says, hey, if you're a nonviolent felon and you've done your time or whatever that case may be, there might be an argument saying maybe you should be able to have your gun rights back. So I don't know. Those are all thought-provoking things that I'm sure are probably going to bubble back up to the Supreme Court here at some point.
Yep.
So what else, Pawpaw? Let's see. So you talk about the media. We were talking about that earlier. I think you got the same email too. So I got this email, and I gotta admit I was a little bit happy at first. But the email this week, the title of it was "Trump just made machine guns legal again," and I thought, well, I didn't think they were illegal. I mean, you have to go through some paperwork and stuff, but that was the headline. Trump just made machine guns legal again. So someone who's not in this industry, you would look at that and you think, geez, they were illegal, and and they go on to say they're allowed back on the streets again. Well, it was from a Moms Demand Action, Every Town for Gun Safety organization from Bloomberg, and the whole thing was a spam thing. But for those who get that, who don't know this industry, that's what we're up against. It's a constant battle. So it's just one more reason to stay vigilant, because even though the administration is positive towards gun rights and everything, there continues to be these things that pop up that
just steady pressure, steady fake news about stuff. It's just constant.
I'm all right if the news tells the truth, and even if the truth doesn't support necessarily what I believe. I mean, tell the truth.
Yeah, not leave half information. Just give out half the information and leave some of the important things off.
Right. It's almost guilty by negligence, by omission. Yeah. I think the way they call it. Well, so we talked a little bit at the beginning about the story that aired this week on Channel 6. We reached out to them probably about a month ago, and I said, look, summertime's coming. We have, it seems like every time you turn on the news, you have stories about juveniles carrying guns, and I mean, it kind of seems to be all over the news. And we have seen a couple things come through on estate sales or out there in the market with BB guns that look like real guns. Now, on one side of me, I'm thinking that's kind of neat, Papa. Look at that. I mean, that looks kind of real.
Yeah.
And there is a place for it, because if you have a Glock 19 and you want to practice your trigger and you want to practice drawing from the holster, it's a neat thing. I mean, it's the exact weight. It looks darn real. I mean, there's really nothing to indicate this isn't a real gun. It's a pellet gun or a BB gun, and the same way with the 365. But the flip side of that is getting in the hands of these kids who are then brandishing them, for street cred and to show that, look, I have a gun.
See, I don't understand. Years ago, the gun had to be identified with an orange marking or something, but now that doesn't apply.
I think that applies to toy guns. Something that's technically considered toy. I don't know what differentiates a toy gun versus a BB gun. But the problem with that is you were getting the thugs then painting orange around the barrel to make people hesitate, like, oh, it's just a toy gun and here's a real gun. I mean, there were even cases, we had a picture of a Nerf gun that they had doctored up with a real gun on the inside. Yeah. So,
Well, the other thing, too, is that sometimes the bad person will paint the gun a different color.
Yeah.
But that in itself is not, I mean, we have real guns that are different colors now.
Yeah.
And so, it makes it very, very difficult for law enforcement. Do you remember the time we were working together up in one of our residential areas? Yes. And we looked inside this car.
I remember.
And there was a gun in there.
Yep.
And we're thinking, whoa, it was probably on the seat or something. And so we staked it out for how many hours? And it turned out to be a toy gun, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it was. But I think part of the moral of this story is, if you have one of these in your house, your child has one, and again, there is a purpose for them, you have to make sure that does not leave the premise. You cannot let the child throw that in the backpack, throw it on your bike, walk down the street with it in a waistband, because unfortunately the news is going to read, they brandished a BB gun and they were shot by a concealed carry holder or a law enforcement officer.
I don't think a minor should have a gun.
No, I agree.
Like this,
I agree. And Papa, you brought you hit the nail on the head. When it happens, and it will happen again, it's happened before in Columbus and throughout Ohio. When it happens, when one of these guns are pulled on an officer, and the officer has to shoot to defend themselves, because it's not up to us to say, no, wait a second, is that a BB gun? Is that one real? Because I'll tell you, there is no way to differentiate. Even the barrel looks like the barrel of a 9mm. When that happens, what is that headline going to read, Papa?
Officer shoots unarmed child.
All day long.
Yep.
All day long.
So he was unarmed.
And so that's kind of what we were trying to get out in front of and bring attention to. And hopefully the story this week, I'm fortunate that they picked up on it. Thanks to Blazer for having me on for an hour on Thursday to talk about it. So maybe we'll bring a light to that.
Some of these kids too, senior prank day.
Yeah.
I was in the drive-through at McDonald's just right down the street, and I had just gotten my food. And I'm looking out in the parking lot, and here a car stops. 3 individuals come out with what I thought was guns at first. They were squirt guns, but the instinct was, wow, this is something really bad happening. And I'm thinking, man, I don't want to get involved in this. And it turns out that it was a senior prank day, and there were squirt guns, and the 2 cars were they knew each other.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, they don't use common sense.
Well, they're not taught common sense. The parenting is left to the law enforcement on the street, unfortunately, sometime. But well, let's go to a break. On the other side, since we're on our high horse, I'm still mad about the theft of these guns that continues to happen out there with good law-abiding people. So we'll talk about that in a little bit more. We're on target, broadcasting live from the studios of LAPD Firearms Range. We'll be back after the break.
The Marketplace. Did you see who walked in with this little girl?
Who?
That was, Christ. The guy from up.
Some would say we don't deserve
seconds.
20 seconds, Pawpaw. 20 seconds. And I was worried about filling the hour.
Hey, I'm not taking this stuff down. I'm going to bug out as soon as we're done.
10.
10 seconds, Pawpaw.
I can handle that.
10 seconds. What song is she going to play? Your ABC6 first warning weather. Today, sun and clouds, cool and breezy, high of 73. Tonight, partly cloudy skies, low of 55. Sunday, sun and clouds, high of 73. Once again, it's beautiful out there. It's currently 73 degrees on your severe weather station. News Radio 610 WTVN.
Columbus's News Radio 610 WTVN.
Get your motor running.
Pawpaw, this is your era.
Head out on the highway.
I never did follow Steppenwolf though.
You never did?
Nah.
You know, it's funny.
I mean, this one's not bad, but yeah.
I mean, by today's standards, you watch the video from this, and you would think listening to these crazy guys, and it's a very tame.
Well, you know what? I was watching the video of Janis Joplin.
Yeah.
Talk about really rank stuff, you know.
Hey, that was your era.
Yeah, but I didn't like.
What were people doing back then?
I don't know.
Yeah. Welcome back to OnTarget. I'm your host, Eric, joined today with Pawpaw. Pawpaw and I. It's kind of been nice. Pawpaw's sitting here just talking like we normally do.
All I can say is my birthday's coming up, Eric.
Okay.
All
yeah.
right.
You have, yes.
That's all I can say.
For those of you not watching on Facebook or YouTube, he has two things here that seems to want and...
Yeah. So... So do I select this one because of the wood?
Yeah.
I love the wood. Or do I select this other one because it's also neat?
Yes.
Huh?
Now, Pawpaw, like I proposed to you, and I can put it out here for the listening audience to choose. There's two here. I would be happy with either one. You would be happy with either one. Lori's out of town. I think we make it happen. I'm just saying.
Hey, wait a minute. We can make it happen with Lori in town. Doesn't make it.
Yeah, but it makes it easier when she's out of town. No. Both of them are kind of neat, though. Guys, in the remaining 2 minutes, I want to just put another thing out there. We're going to keep talking about this until it changes. But I had a friend this week, good friend who's a gun guy who knows knows his stuff. Had a firearm taken from the car and stolen out of the car, and I just continue to get frustrated, I think, because we see it on the other side. We see the bad guy brandishing it. You see it all the time. And the bad guys, they're not going to LEPD to get their guns. They're stealing them. And we as gun owners, as safe, responsible gun owners, need to do our part to make sure these are secured in the vehicle. They should not be unsecured in a parking lot or overnight in the vehicle. And I was telling this story last night to another friend, and he's like, "Yeah, I got to stop doing that." And I said, "Wait a second." I said, "You don't secure it as well?" He's like, "No, I keep it in the glove box." I'm like, "You got to be kidding me." I said, "Do you?" And this friend is has a lot of law enforcement buddies. I said, "What are you doing?" I mean, it will happen.
Yes.
And here's the other thing too. When this one buddy this week, the guy was caught on video in the parking lot checking cars out. And he went to many cars, tried the handles, looked inside with the flashlight, but he chose my buddy's. And the reason is the car looked like a cool car to break into, in that backpack's laying there, and what's that? That's a wrapper for a box of ammo, and what's that? You gotta think this through, guys. You can't let your car look like the perfect target, and think you're hiding it in the glove box and the center console run into the seat.
I have to come clean here. I used to carry a gun in my truck, and I had it in the console, but it was so buried, and it was in the case. It was locked up. And I figured, it takes a long time to get to it. Why do I even have it if I can't get to it real quick? So I took it out for a long time. Then I put it back in, and I thought I had a real neat hiding place that I could get to it easily. But then I still said, nah, I'm not going to do this. Most of the time when I'm out and about, I have a firearm on. But if you're wearing a seatbelt and everything, you can't get to it. That's why I did it, but I stopped doing it a long time ago.
It's just we just got to be smart about it. It just makes me sick because these thugs, these juvenile thugs, it's they'll break into 10 cars and they know that 10% of the time they're going to get a gun out of it. And it's I don't know why you talk about the city doing all this crazy stuff and spending money on stuff that's worthless. Yet they won't buckle down and partner with the stores around town or with somebody and say, hey, look, guys, here's a PSA. Let's do a commercial about that. But no, they're off, paying for people to have their brake lights fixed so the police don't pull them over. So it's just crazy. It's just something that was true. Remember?
I remember that.
City council approved money to fix people's brake lights because too many people were getting pulled over by the police for their brake lights. How about doing something that's real out there, guys? Come on. So it's just, I don't know, it's just one of those things that we got to and you don't have to secure it. If you're going to leave it in your vehicle, or if you find yourself in a position where you're carrying your gun and now you're going into some place that you can't bring it, have a means of locking that up.
Right.
The trunk is better than under your seat. Put it in there in a lockbox. The lock boxes are cheap, $30.
The lockbox that I had my gun in my truck, my truck got hit and got totaled, and Eric and we went down to the junkyard where they had it to get some things out of it, and now there wasn't any gun in the lockbox, but we pried and had tools and everything. We couldn't loosen up that lockbox, and it was just screwed down to the plastic.
$30 lockbox.
Yeah,
$30 lockbox.
And I still have that.
Yeah. And so, guys, come in. You don't have to come here to buy it. We have them. If you do, though, go on Amazon. Go to other stores. Get something to secure it. Do not let yourself be the next victim because you are enabling somebody to go out there and cause serious harm to someone. So there you go, Pawpaw. That's my soapbox for.
That is it, huh?
I'm sure I got something else. Anything else out there, Pawpaw? We didn't get to Guns of the Week very much.
Well, that's okay. I mean, birthday. Just think birthday. Okay.
Yeah. So you got a couple weeks for people to donate.
Well,
to that.
I tried that once. If everybody listening was sending in $1 to me.
Yeah. We got $50 that time.
I don't think we got that much.
We got $50, but Mom put in 25 of it. So
yeah.
So, Pawpaw, thanks for sitting in and stuff. In the coming weeks, we got a lot of good people coming up.
That's good.
Dave Yost is going to come on here in a couple weeks, talk about qualified immunity. That's something that's really important to the law enforcement community, and that might get a vote here in Ohio in the fall. So it's something that people need to educate themselves on before that goes on the ballot, because it's something that we need to look at very seriously to help men and women in law enforcement and other public positions too. It doesn't just apply to law enforcement. So he's coming up soon. I got word that Vivek is going to be coming on soon. There was even a chance that he was coming on today, but his schedule is just so busy. But he's going to come on, since he's running for governor. Now he wants to get out there and talk to some people, and much more. So all kinds of good stuff coming down the pike, Pawpaw.
Yep. And I was real happy to be able to sit in today. I was real happy to be able to sit in.
Really?
Yes.
You can sit in any time.
But I refuse to say it most of the time. But
yeah, that's right. Yeah. All right. Well, good to have you. Have a great week this week. And as always,
let's be careful out there.
Car radio preset and the new and improved iHeartRadio app. Save 610 WTVN Columbus on your presets. Free. Never sounded so good.
Hey, it's Matt McCoy, and as we warm towards summer, it's a great time to car shop. And when you visit my friends at Germain Honda of Dublin, you'll warm to some spectacular deals, like a new 2025 Honda CR-V LX, 0% up to 36 months or lease from only $297 a month, or a new 2025 Honda HR-V, 0% for 36 months or lease from $257 a month. Find out more by visiting GermainHondaofDublin.com. 36-month lease, 10,000 miles a year, $29.99 cash cap reduction, first payment due at signing, payments plus tax, title, document, and bank fees with approved credit. See dealer for details.
This is Greg Trzynski from the Original Mattress Factory. A few years back, there was a surge of online mattress companies offering a one-feel-fits-all mattress. Eventually, they all added more selections. Why? They discovered what we've known for over 30 years. Everyone has unique preferences. At the Original Mattress Factory, we handled a range of comfort choices so that you can select the one that suits you best. Don't rely on someone else's opinion. Try out a variety of options and find the one that's right for you. OriginalMattress.com.
Not everyone who handles your personal information is as careful as you are, which might explain why there's a victim of identity theft every 5 seconds in the United States. Fortunately, there's LifeLock. LifeLock will monitor hundreds of millions of data points a second for threats to your identity. And if your identity's stolen, a U.S.-based restoration specialist will fix it guaranteed or your money back. Save 40% your first year with my name, Clay, as your promo code at LifeLock.com. Lock. For the threats you can't control, terms apply.
Are you having trouble hearing? Hearing loss can devastate the quality of your life. Now, there's an affordable fix for you or your loved one. Rated the best hearing aids of 2025 by Forbes Health, Audion Hearing has the highest quality hearing aids at the lowest prices, starting at just $98 a pair.
I actually like them better than my old $5,000 hearing aid.
I could not believe how my hearing in life changed.
Join over 1 million
This is Eric from OnTarget. This week, we keep you updated on your right to bear arms, and the Gun of the Week is sponsored by Black Wing Shooting Center. Tune in right here.
Your station for news, traffic, and weather in Central Ohio. News Radio 610 WTVN, Your DC HD2 Asheville.
Tune in today at noon live from LAPD Studios on Bethel Road.
Awesome.
All right, you keep that you keep that text messaging open. I'm going to send you some dates one of these days.
All right.
All right. Have a good week.
Bye-bye.
See you. Bye.